They called it the tranquil hour, when the hospital's fluorescent lights start to buzz between midnight and dawn. It seemed to have its own pulse. Even the quiet hour now seemed like a huge ocean that Kelly had to paddle alone. She sat stiffly in a plastic chair next to the windowless intensive care unit room and looked through the porthole as though the shape of the door might change to reveal a more practical path out. Inside, Mark fell asleep. Or rather, the machines fell asleep instead of him. The infusion pump's steady beat, the ventilator's soft rhythm, and the screen's barbed blinds' apathetic symmetry. 2 days ago, the diagnosis had rushed in like a cyclone that changes people's lives. Uncompromising, scientific, hard, and frigid. As if creating a vocabulary for loss, the oncologist had handled the aggressive disease with the refined grace of someone who has given the same sorry speech innumerable times. Kelly nodded. She remembered nodding over and over again, and it was like a door closing on its own. There were words she hardly understood and a blueprint for a future she couldn't imagine. "We are going to start treatment," they said. "There is yet a chance." Clinical expressions kept falling into an unwashed pond. Photographers had already positioned themselves outside the hospital before the first announcement was released. The phone of a social media manager who neglected to share it. An innocent friend who has gone too far and violating someone's privacy. Within hours, the area outside the building was lit up and reporters with microphones started to hover like flies. Kelly's public life was built on genuine, carefully manicured sincerity and bright mornings. Her genuineness and vulnerability had to take precedence above all of her charm, charisma, and contagious laughter. She relaxed, letting the oxygen fill the room. There was no meat-based storyline. At the most unbearable moments, I would decompose into small, isolated rituals while I was grieving. As she moved the blanket over Mark's smeals and checked the foreline, Kelly felt the warmth of his hand. Even though his breathing was mechanically assisted, she could still feel the lingering breath that spoke of life. She read aloud to him because her voice gave him a firm base. Sometimes she would recite lines from screenplays they had loved, lines that had previously been made humorous. At other times, the sounds of conversation blended together, leaving her simply the steady cadence of the intensive care unit. Mark's hands were expressive, like a conductor's palate, until his illness struck. Late-night pizza boxes, laughter, and a family whose quarrels and antics made the ordinary enjoyable. He had the special capacity to make everyone around him happy with his cheeky grin, and he could easily console those in need by drawing them close to him. Kelly held him as though the world relied on her to hold him steady. When he woke up in the emergency room, a hospital gown draped over his shoulders. Then, looking small and bewildered, he had smiled at her and said, "You look like you haven't slept in 10 years. With tears in her eyes, Kelly had laughed because comedy was the greatest response at the moment. Everyone outside of their small world of polite doctors and equipment felt shivers down their spines. The vigil banners and comment areas were crowded with fans. "God bless Mark," said the news reports. Even though the first headlines were cruel and blatantly literal, 2 stations bolded the words "on life support" over splashes of murky stock photos of medical rooms. Private anxiety became a public spectacle because of the terrible finality of that statement. The result was a social media frenzy. Conspiracy theories, miscommunication, and kindness are all jumbled together. While some visitors rationed their own pain by glancing at the family's images, strangers left bobbleheads at the studio gate. You might feel better if you're around celebrities. Candles, prayers, and good wishes are being sent from all around the country. It also spends a lot of time trying to open locked doors and is cruel. As if watching an unstoppable film, Kelly was absorbed in the unfolding of the couple's first memories. She remembered clearly their first professional meeting, the unexpected burst of activity that had nothing to do with photography. The beat they found is the center of their entire existence. A typical household complete with children, artwork, and everyday noises. Mark has always been the kind of husband who anticipates the more nuanced emotional needs, a shoulder rub and the ideal sandwich. Kelly had been the marquee ray of hope, always there and offering. Their public tongue combo had served as a kind of marriage, the public language of fame and wealth, and the private language of the household. Now that everyone could acquire the private dialect, the one with the muttered jokes, the late night feedings, and the small scale home arguments, it was a perilous time. In a tragic turn of events, the adored actor and TV personality Mark Consuelos was recently spotted crying as medical professionals broke the terrible news, leaving him and his admirers stunned. For the co-host of Live with Kelly and Mark, his family and loved ones, the heartfelt moment caught on camera has sparked a wave of worry and sympathy. It serves as a heartbreaking reminder that life can present us with unthinkable obstacles, even for people who appeared to have it all. Known for his warmth, wit, and charisma, Mark has been a mainstay in the entertainment industry for many years. Mark has always radiated strength and positivity, whether it is in his acting career or his role as a family guy. But the most recent information has upended that perception and exposed a weaker side of him that his admirers have seldom ever seen. The startling information. The touching moment happened during a routine checkup when Mark and his wife, Kelly Ripa, were informed by the doctors that his latest test results were not at all what he had hoped for. Mark was taken aback by the doctor's diagnosis, and his feelings were evident in the uncut video. With Kelly by his side, Mark found it difficult to remain calm as the news dawned on him, his face clearly showing signs of shock and anxiety. Mark's response demonstrated the seriousness of the situation. Even if the diagnosis's specifics have not been made public, the weight of the news, the uncertainty of what lay ahead, and the fear of the unknown were all evident in his tears. This emotional outburst was a unique and private moment that struck a profound chord with fans, for someone who had spent years in front of the camera, upholding a polished public image. As they worked through the news together, Kelly, who has always been Mark's rock, held his hand firmly and stayed strong. Fans have witnessed Kelly and Mark's close bond on screen, and this behind-the-scenes glimpse further strengthened it, demonstrating the genuine depth of their collaboration. Even in the face of tragic events, Kelly's steadfast support of her husband demonstrated their love and dedication to one another. The battle of a family. Following the devastating news, Kelly and Mark have both stated that they need privacy and time to come to terms with the situation. After years of following the couple's journey, fans are left wondering how the family will be affected by this particular struggle. The children have played a major role in the story of Mark and Kelly, who have been candid about their family life and have always been tremendously supportive of one another. Fans are naturally worried about how the family will handle this trying time because Mark and Kelly have 3 children together, Michael, Lola, and Wen. Even though Mark has been well known for a long time, his family has always been first in his life. Being a father has always been important to him, and his children in particular are his top priority. Mark has frequently mentioned in interviews how much he loves spending time with his kids and how much they offer him joy. It's obvious that the family's main priorities will be helping one another and being together while they adjust to this new reality. Supporters believe that, like in the past, the Consuelos family's love and resilience will enable them to overcome the difficulties that lie ahead. Supportive reactions from fans. Social media has been inundated with supportive messages from both fans and coworkers as word of Mark's emotional moment and devastating diagnosis spread. Supporters of Mark have expressed their worries about his health and given sincere notes wishing him courage and a speedy recovery. The public's love and support has been amazing, and many fans have shared their own tales of support and resiliency. My heart is with Mark and Kelly during this difficult time, an admirer commented. Mark has always been such a positive light. I'm sending them both all the love and support I can. I've watched Mark and Kelly for years, said another. What a motivating couple they are. I'm keeping them in mind at every turn, even though I know they'll overcome this together. Fan support is evidence of the strong bond that Mark and Kelly have established with their followers. They have become one of the most adored couples in the entertainment industry, as audiences have grown admiration for both their real personalities and their on-screen chemistry. The path ahead. The path forward is still unclear as Mark and Kelly work through this difficult period. The pair has stated their wish to take some time off and focus on Mark's health and recovery. Even if the details of his condition are still confidential, both of them have reaffirmed that they are grateful for their fans' love and support and are making every effort to stay upbeat and optimistic. Kelly has spoken openly about the toll this revelation has put on their family, but she has also understood the importance of remaining resilient and living day by day. She said, "We're just focusing on what matters most, Mark's health and supporting one another and taking things one step at a time." The Consuelos family has demonstrated their resolve to meet this challenge with fortitude, love, and resiliency. In spite of the emotional toll the situation has taken on them, Kelly and Mark have always been candid about their setbacks and victories, and this trying time is likely going to be no exception. As they have done throughout their careers, fans should expect them to continue to travel the path with integrity and genuineness.